Hello there, and welcome back to another NX tutorial with Sean. So today we're going to be looking at the Helix command, and just for reference, we'll look at the version history. So we are in 22.12.1700 build, but this should be true for most versions or any version that has the Helix command. Alright, so getting into the problem scenario here, looking at a part I found on the forums, we see that the person that submitted this completed a sweep of this rectangle right here along a guide created here on the bottom of this spiral, but they have this initial Helix command in. So if we roll it back here, we can see that they use the Helix command to project the spiral pattern onto a secondary plane here, and then they added the rectangle at the end as their desired shape that they were going to sweep along this guide. But there's a little bit of a better way to do this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, open up a new file here. Alright, now that I got my new file, go up to Menu, I'm going to go Insert, Curve, Helix. Now there's three parameters that I can modify in the Helix command. So the first one is size, and I can choose the diameter or radius. I have it set to a diameter here, so I put it to 10. Let me zoom in here real quick. I put it to 10, down from 20. That is going to decrease the size of my diameter here. I'll put it back to 20. The second parameter I can change is the distance in height between each revolution. This doesn't change the actual height of the helix itself, just the difference between each revolution. So there, if I increase the pitch to 2, it halves the number of revolutions because the pitch is now greater. If I want to change the actual height of the helix, I come down here. So we have it set to limits currently, and so that's going to say from 0 to 10 millimeters, my helix will exist in that frame. So if I bring up the bottom to 5, that's going to half the distance here. If I set that back to 0 and put this up to 20, I have now doubled the height of my helix. So let's take a look at how the original user got to the spiral that they had. So first thing you're going to do, set this to linear, so that way we can have our diameter increase from 0 to 20. So that achieves the spiral. Now, the logical thought here is, okay, I want my spiral to be flat, not a helix. That way I can just have it in a singular plane. So if I set this down to 0, which would make my height flat, right? That gives me an error. So what if I make this really small, say 0.1? Don't have an entire revolution. So if I go up here and change my pitch, still nothing. Too small. Alright, come back here, I'll make this 1. Now I have the spiral that the original user was trying to attempt. So it's close to a flat plane, but not precisely, and there exists a second option here in the length, turns, where you can specify, okay, I want 10 turns here, and the pitch can now go to 0. So remember, pitch determines the height between each revolution. Since we changed the input method to turns for the length, pitch is now defined at a value of 0. Click OK. Come up here to the extrude. Going to select the curve. Choose the distance we want to extrude. 3 millimeters is fine. I'm going to come down to offset. I'll choose symmetric. 0.1 is a fine distance. Click OK. And there we have a simpler way of creating that spiral with a more efficient workflow. Hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.